This is Momentum with Sidekick, where we explore what's changing in business and in leadership, and what that means for our listeners right here and right now.
I'm Nora, and this is Bonny. We're with Sidekick, a realization consultancy that helps leaders, just like you, turn complexity into clarity and ideas into action.
Let's dive in.
It's very clear the world is evolving. It keeps turning, keeps rotating. And it's probably no argument there that the last 5 years has had a lot of change happening. And it gives me some pause to think about as the world evolves, as how we interact as people evolve, how we do business evolves, so should our leadership. And a bit of a perplexity I've been feeling is when it comes to leadership and what makes an amazing leader, I feel like the same kind of tools in your toolkit, while tried and tested and definitely very helpful, things like strategic thinking, decision-making, vision alignment, personal effectiveness, communication, maybe board management, those type of tools in your stakeholder management, those kind of tools in your toolkit, while 100% still valuable, I feel like some are maybe missing as the world evolves. And there's two in particular, spoiler alert, that we've been talking about previous to this, around the art of integration and the art of facilitation. And would love to unpack those today and how they can be two new tools that folks could add to their toolkit if they're looking to level up their leadership individually or help develop the people that report into them and the leaders on their team.
Yeah, I think a great topic and lots to unpack there. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the conversation we had in our episode on innovation, how we kind of added to that equation of like innovation is not just the idea. Sure, you need an idea, you need a strategy as a lead. Those are all great kind of skills to have as a leader. But what is truly kind of making the difference is how that is then brought to life. And I feel like that's kind of those two areas of integration and facilitation is tapping into the how a bit more. And they do feel like undervalued, or maybe they didn't serve a purpose yet kind of in the world today. But I do see kind of how they could be at this next frontier in leadership, right? Like with everything happening in the world, it just feels like something needs to shift, and these might be the skills that can help kind of navigate that. It's a little bit of that kind of going from managing to enabling, which then kind of gets me into that space of what we talked about around AI. There's just so much, it's so overwhelming that the skill set of like trying to make sense of it with a group of people instead of kind of trying to have all the answers yourself, right? So going from that know-it-all to learn-it-all or enable or kind of bringing the right people together. So it's a bit of that like part operator still, but also connecting and conducting. It's maybe a word that we can add to that. Conductor?
Yeah, totally agree. I love that. And I think the combination of what's happening in the world and how that's going to kind of influence maybe how leadership changes. Also, folks kind of looking to progress and develop. This might be an episode they want to listen to, but I look forward to a world where leadership is really, pride on that connecting systems, people, with your vision, your strategy, bringing it all together so it's kind of humming along on its own. So I'm optimistic we'll be able to unpack those two things today. Something tells me we're more aligned than in disagreement like we have been in some other conversations, but want to look at it at a few different angles, and hopefully people can take something away from it.
At least when I go back to my experiences, there's often someone or a couple of someones who feel like the glue or the connector in that group. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to look into and what we will unpack today a little bit. So we'll look at what is it, how can you develop it? Because, I do think, but let's explore that. It is a skill set that people can actually practice and develop. So what our listeners can do today to really do that.